And hello and welcome to the Ken McBride Show for January 31st, 2017. I'm your host, Gary Smith. And on today's show, we're going to talk with head coach Ken McBride about everything California basketball related. And without further ado, I'm going to welcome Coach to your own show. And, last week we had a show with Matt Hagee because your son was sick. But so this is your first time on the show, so welcome to your own show.
Thanks for having me. And, my little guy got sick for about a full week, and he's fighting what everybody else is fighting, but we got through it.
Yeah, when you're describing what he had, I think I had it a couple weeks ago. I don't know if I was patient 0 or patient 10, but a lot of people are coming down with that. So drink orange juice.
That's it.
That's our tip for the day. Drink orange juice and go to the doctor. But Coach, like I said, this is the first time we've had a chance to talk, and probably first time a lot of people, because this show is also on CUT, but also on YouTube. We put it out there. But just going back, this is your first year. Take us through what it's like. You started in the summer,
right?
So walk us through like the summer to like the beginning of the semester and your first couple months here at Cal U.
Well, I had an old guy that I've trusted for years said it'll take about 18 months and your head will stop spinning, and that's typically true. When you get here in July and you're trying to scramble and not only get the roster put together and kind of get to know the guys you have and learn the landscape here at Cal. So it was a whirlwind. It was a lot thrown at you, but nothing that I haven't done before. So it's an exciting time, and we're stout, and we're now starting to reap the benefits of what we've done. So good to be here. It's good to have a fresh start, and I like the direction we're moving right now.
It's been an exciting season so far. Before we talk about this season that we're in right now, because we're almost over halfway through the season, which is hard to believe. But just a little bit about your background. You played college basketball and you coached, so just maybe walk the people at home that may not know, didn't read the bio or watch the introductory press conference, but we'll give them the Cliff Notes version.
Okay. Played 4 years at Concord University down at that time it was the West Virginia Conference. It's now the Mountain East. Played there 4 years and finished up and started a graduate assistant with a guy who's really still very close with, a guy named Bill Lilly, who spent a lot of time at Radford University at WVU under John Beeline and got my master's degree and started my coaching career there. Then ended up at Glenville State for 2 years before I was fortunate enough to get to go back and coach my alma mater at Concord for 5 years and had some success there. So in my whole coaching career, it kind of only been in the state of West Virginia. So moving up here into the PSAC and into the state, it's a new challenge for me. It's a new area for me. So when I talk to people and talk to people around the state, and they tell me where they're from, I say, you got to be a little more descriptive than that, because other than the west side up here, up I-79, I have a good idea, but as you get towards Harrisburg and Philadelphia, I'm still trying to learn my way around. So it's a new challenge for me, but that's where I've been, and fortunate to kind of broaden my horizons, and just an exciting time for me and my family to be up in this area.
And coming into this conference from the Mountain East and the WIVAC in your playing days, as a fan, we always look at, there's not a lot of crossover between the two conferences, but we see the scores. It seems like the scores are 100 to 90, and then you look at the Mercyhurst Slippery Rock games, they're like 45 to 40.
Right.
What are the differences between the conferences? What were some of the challenges between the two styles of play?
It's just like you said, the speed of the game. The Mountain East, I think last year we averaged at Concord 85, and we were the 5th leading scoring team in the league. So we weren't even up there near the top, or I think we were 4th or 5th. So it's just a different pace, and I think what the biggest difference is the forwards in the game. The forwards down there with the Wheelings and the West Liberty and Fairmont, they're basically an extension of a guard. And up in this league, you play more what we call the Big Ten style of play. They want to slow it down, throw it into the paint. And not that either philosophy is right or wrong, it's just kind of different concepts. And so that's been the adjustment, is kind of learning how to, it's made me a better coach, because we have to slow it down a little bit more this year than we probably want to in the future. Just because we're still trying to get acclimated to how we want to play. But it's different. It's just a different way to play, and but the game still isn't any different. The game and what wins just isn't different. It's just getting about it. Getting there is a different way.
As a wise movie once said, the hoop is 10 feet tall no matter where you go. That brings us up through your backstory, coming up from the MEC and the WIVAC. Well, I still call it the WIVAC, but the MEC. But so you're on campus, and fall semester starts. And what is it like for a new coach, new coaching staff to start putting together a roster? I mean, that has to be a unique challenge.
Yeah, the challenge was that it was July 1, and I didn't have my assistant hired, and trying to fill out the roster and some holes that were needed there. It was tough, but I thought when Coach Caldwell got on, we did a really good job of that. Filled some places of need. But with that being said, we knew we had to invest time in the guys that were here. It wasn't like we were completely abandoning the ones that were recruited by another staff. It's our job to take those guys and make them better and acclimate them to our system. I think it's very unfair for a coach to come in and say it's my way or the highway or this is how I'm playing and you adjust. Well, my job is to figure out what's the best way to make my players the most successful, because at the end of the day, they're going to win them and lose them. So we've had to adjust some things, but that July to August 27th period was very, very quick, not to mention we had basketball camp and the hiring process. But at the end of the day, we talk to our players about what getting you out of your comfort zone makes you a better player. Well, it's no different for coaches.
I tell you what, I mean, you see the hard work you guys have put in, because we've covered the team from the first beginning part of the season, and then of course it seemed like a 2-year winter break happened and we're back. But just the growth from that first game we did when you guys hosted Davis and Elkins, your first home game, to now is unbelievable. And even shrink that a little bit, the growth from probably January 1st now is unbelievable.
Yeah. That's what we've kind of told our players from the beginning is everybody in this profession and when you do this and play this sport, you want instant gratification. Well, we're just not going to be there right now. We knew in November we weren't going to be there because I know we don't have, but we had one freshman playing, but essentially everybody's a freshman. My assistant's a freshman. He'd never worked with me before. So everything was an adjustment from day one, and we kept talking to the guys about understand that we want to be playing our best basketball when we hit February. Well, I think we've shown we've had constant improvement. We lost a bunch of close games, but we never lost faith, and we always pulled the positives out of what was going on. And I give a lot of credit to the players, but yeah, it's our growth's been pretty good. Rashawn Brown texted me 2 days ago and told me that he went back and watched our Virginia State game, and he said our offense would look a train wreck. So it looks a little better now.
That probably seems like it was about 3 years ago.
Oh, feels like forever ago.
We mentioned the close games. I know we started coming back with coverage on WCAO with the Gannon game, which is always a tough place to play at the Hammerville Center. And, that was the first time we'd seen the team in about probably a month or a little less than a month from the Shippensburg game. Your team was down in that game but fought back and forced overtime. And from an outsider's perspective, that seemed like from that game on, it's been a whole new cup of tea.
Yeah, you look at, and we're not getting caught up on the results. I told the players from the beginning that our definition of success in this season is not going to be determined by our win-loss record. We're going to try to reach our potential, and whatever that is. And I think at that point on the road, you had just those strings of Edinburgh was a close one we lost in last possession. Gannon, we had a free throw to win it and unfortunately didn't knock it down. I just think the guys stuck with the fact that they knew we were getting better. No matter what the result was, they knew, hey, we're close, and all we need to do is have a situation where we feel good and find confidence in how we're playing. And they did it, and we just kind of turned the corner. And they're still not focusing. We still not done a good job of having tunnel vision, and we're just focused on Slippery Rock right now. And we don't really look ahead. We just focus on the practice and getting a little better and finding our faults. And whenever February comes, whatever our result is what our result is.
I tell you what, for doing some radio over the break, a lot of places we're right next to the bench or right above the bench, and your team is just never taking the possession off. The bench is fully engaged, and that's something great to see. No matter what the result is, they're all playing for another. It stuck out to me the IEP game. It was right after the stretch where IEP had like 7 3-pointers in a row.
Yeah.
And you call timeout or there's a media timeout, but your bench was encouraging one another, staying in. I mean, that's great to see. Just the fight is still there no matter what the result.
We have really, that's been one of our main focuses, is making sure guys, we use the term a lot, making sure guys are selfless within the program. And we would love to play everybody, but everybody has a role on the basketball team. And we've taken time in film to show, this is why I know we're getting better. This is why I know the program's moving in the right direction, because watch the bench engage when somebody else does something good. And ultimate team wins, and I told him victory feels so much sweeter when you are excited about victory because of the guy beside you more than yourself, is when that feeling really means a lot. And they've done a really good job of it. Playing time has changed for everybody within the program. Nobody's dropped their head. The preparation for those guys hasn't changed. And it really is, all 14 people are invested.
And one of the coolest things I think I've seen in a while, covering the team, I've been covering for about, I'm not going to say the number because I'll feel bad, but the Slippery Rock game at home, and we'll talk about Slippery Rock coming up tomorrow night, but the Slippery Rock game at home, you were on the tail end of a lot of close games, and it was a game. I remember your team's hitting foul shots at the end to ice it, and Luca and another player, the other player, were standing right in front of where the radio was, and you can just see like pure joy and just relief that the fruits of the labor being rewarded,
Right.
and that was such a great feeling because it was just a pure emotion that hey, we're fought back in this game against a tough Slippery Rock team that they play a defensive style, and you're going to get the win.
And we needed that. We needed to know that what we were doing was actually going to pull the results that we needed. It got to the end of the Westchester game, and again, we lost it in the last possession. And I walked into the locker room. I said, guys, I don't want you to think that we're giving up any stretch, but we've had this speech. We went through we'll get over the hump and just stick with the process, and we'll eventually get there. And the fact that these guys finally got to pull that, and I think it really did change our mentality. And it's crazy how practice changes and the mentality changes when you start to, like you said, pull the fruits of your labor. And us getting guys to focus and us really having to motivate them for practice, which we might have had to do in November and December, they bring the motivation themselves. We actually now just get to coach the team.
Yeah, the last couple of games, luckily you guys, I'm sure you're happy to have been at home the last 3 games, but we've been back with TV, and we set up. Usually the setup is whenever second half of your shoot around, we kind of do it quietly, but you kind of see what's going on. There's a lot of action out there. I mean, there's no one hanging their head. I mean, everyone's in there. I mean, it's fun to watch.
It's fun to be around, and that's not that we didn't have fun around each other in November, but we didn't know each other. That's, I think, one of the good parts, unfortunately, about we didn't start it well, but we did start on the road, and what that allowed us to do was spend a lot of time together. We weren't here in the dorms. We weren't here on campus. We were on the road, and it was just us 14 at dinner. It was just us 14 on the bus. So we had to get to know one another, because when you understand a person's background, when you understand a person's story, it allows you to relate to them better. And also as a player, it allows you to say, hey, maybe this guy over here, I kind of feel what he's going through. And all of a sudden that selfless act becomes a lot easier. So albeit we didn't necessarily like being on the road, but I think it is a reason why we're getting where we are, because the guys are starting to understand one another. They feel much more comfortable. Like I said, we had 14 freshmen in the program, coaches included. And it takes time for you to get to know one another and understand how each person ticks. Me as a coach, you're still trying to figure out how to push this player's buttons or that player. Some guys need motivated by a little more push. Some guys just need to be left alone. So it's a process for all of us. And the shoot-arounds and things, after the Cheney game, that was really a turning point for us, because our shoot-around was just so dead and we didn't have any juice. And I think the guys realized that that's not a way to prepare for games, because winning's in the preparation.
Yeah, we definitely, we're coming in. We get to the front door. We just hear, the effort. Best thing I can say is it's a buzz. It's an energy. And you say the comfort level. You can definitely see it on the court too, because no one's thinking out there anymore. It seems like they're just reacting and they're trusting, the offense and the defensive calls. And that's got to be great for you, because you can just say, here, do this, instead of explain why to do this.
That's what we've told them. Is the best teams coach themselves. Like, when they can do this job without me, and I know that sounds bad because that's my paycheck, but when they can do this without me is when teams really arrive, and they can make adjustments on the floor. When Cordell and Rashawn as point guards can run the team without me, but that takes time, and they do. I've done a lot of stepping back here lately, letting them handle things on the court. Like, I forget which game it was. I said, guys, stop asking me so many questions. You guys need to figure that out, because basketball moves too quick. And they have done a really good job of listening to one another and working with one another to get themselves through it without Coach Caldwell and myself.
And this last 3 games have been at home, and they've been 3 different games, a 3-game winning streak for you and your team. And we'll touch on the first 2 games, then we have highlights of Edinboro. But you go back to last week, it was Mercyhurst, Clarion, Edinboro, 3 teams, 3 different styles.
Right.
Mercyhurst, a tough defensive style. And I thought, your team did a great job of adjusting to the slowdown that they were going to try and bring.
Yeah, and we're going to see that again tomorrow night. Slippery Rocks, they play very similar in the fact that they're going to make you beat them in half-court execution. And as fast as people say we're going to play here and this up-tempo style, February and March wins still come down to half-court executions. You can watch it at any level. The best half-court teams are going to win, because the good teams keep you out of transition. But I thought Mercyhurst was one of our better half-court execution games all season. We got really good shots. We made shots. But you're right, 3 different styles. You had Mercyhurst kind of want to slow it down. You had Clarion, who wasn't afraid to get up and down the court. And you had Edinboro, who came in and played zone the whole time. So to find 3 ways to win, or to win 3 games. I don't care how we find ways to win.
And
I'm not giving them back, and I'm taking them.
And that Clarion game on Wednesday, last Wednesday, was kind of a weird game because they started fouling, it seemed, with like 9 minutes left to go in the second half. And that, I thought it was impressive that, your team never got out of rhythm. It's like, okay, you're going to foul us. We're going to make a majority of the foul shots, and we're going to, send you on the bus. And that was great because, like I said, when we looked up, I think it was like with almost 3 minutes left to go, they were fouling.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's an interesting strategy.
We were waiting for it. We thought a team might start doing that because at the beginning, we're much better now. At the beginning of the season, we weren't a very good free throw shooting team. I think we were shooting like 59% as a team. So we were waiting for the team to start that early foul and say, hey, you're going to have to ice this game out. Well, Clarion did it, and Tony Richardson was every time he touched, they fouled him. He was 7 for 10 from the free throw line. He's came a long way. So, yeah, and like you said, different ways to finish games, and that was their strategy. And to kind of say, hey, well, no matter what you do, we're going to pull this one out. You're not going to get us. It was good.
And it was great because it was the first game pretty much with students back in the
Yeah.
spring semester. So it wasn't, 2 teams and a couple staff. It was nice to see, and I think the fans that were there really enjoyed seeing what was going on. Because, like I said, when a team starts fine with that much time, it kind of gets to be a grind. And I'm sure for you guys, you're like, okay, you look up and only 2 seconds have gone off. But yeah, it was a great job of just staying in the moment and making Clarion pay.
They did, and when we work on free throws a lot in practice, and guys have spent time by themselves and making sure that we're not going to give games away in that manner. So yeah, it was good to get that one.
Well, that brings us up to our most recent game. That was against Edinburgh. We have highlights here, but we'll talk for a second before we roll the highlights. Edinburgh, this is the first game of the second go-around in the PSAC, and it was a game which only like a month ago up at Edinburgh.
Yeah.
Another close game. What was different this time than the last time, other than just the location?
Well, I'd say from a statistical standpoint, neither game we made shots. When we went up there the first game, I think the halftime score was 33-23, and I remember going at halftime and said, guys, just keep shooting and have confidence the ball's going to go. And I didn't have a problem with our shot taking. It was our shot making. And then down here it was much of the same. They came out in a zone, and we just didn't make shots. We kept talking to Coach Call about we got to find a way to beat the zone. He said we got to make a shot to loosen it up, and we just didn't. But to win a game when we held a team to 20, when you hold a team to 29% shooting and you win the rebounding by 25, it's hard to lose that game. And we turned the ball over too much, but the staple of what we do was there, and it was a slow-down game, but you said to win in a variety of ways when you're not making shots says a lot, because hopefully you always want to make more shots against them, but we just didn't. Luka was 1 for 7, Cordell was 0 for 7, and to find a way to win that game kind of says a lot about our moxie.
Well, you mentioned the rebounds. At halftime, we were doing the halftime stats. They said it was 30. I said, well, someone's not paying attention, because it didn't. It was a quiet 30 rebounds. I think at the end of the night it was 59 for your team, which is unbelievable. Yeah. We'll look at the highlights, and most of these will be offensive highlights. There'll be some defensive transition. But as you said, execution and trying to shoot out of that Edinburgh zone.
Yeah, that's what we had. We had to be able to take shots when they came, and I'm really big onto the guys about when you're open, just take a high percentage shot for yourself. When you see Danny right there, both those two are open. There's not a hand in his face. It's not a challenge shot. An uncontested 3 is the second best shot in the game. That's what we didn't do a very good job of for the whole game, is our interior passing wasn't great. But you got to be able to make shots to stretch them out. And we didn't do it consistently, but we did them enough to kind of keep him at arm's length. He's been really good, man. About the last 2 weeks, Tony Richardson's turned a corner to where I was just watching the Slippery Rock game before, and he really didn't score down there against Slippery Rock, but the last, 4, 5, 6 games, he's really been a guy that you got to either double or something, or he's going to score a high percentage. So it was good for us to kind of see a zone consistently like that, because most teams haven't zoned us. But I'd be shocked if we don't see a little more of it coming down the stretch. But that's what we got to the second half. We went into halftime, and it was kind of the same song. I think we had made 9 field goals, and they had made 8 field goals or something. It was 2 guys over here just throwing up bricks. You talk about the rebound numbers, but when you miss as many shots as both teams did, there's going to be a lot of defensive rebounding opportunities. But 22 offensive is kind of the number we looked at. Tony he kind of got him at will. Sometimes you can block him out, and it really just doesn't matter because he can go over top of you. But we just got more shots than they did. When you look and you don't shoot it well, I think we shot 32% from the field and win. That kind of tells you that defensively we were pretty daggone good. Didn't make enough shots to really put them away, but we made enough shots to keep them at arm's length. But right there, 56 rebounds. It's a lot of daggone rebounds in the game. And that's, like I said, a testament to missing shots, but 22 offensive is a special number. I don't know if I've ever had 22 in my career.
Yeah, that's a high number. And I meant to look to see if there was any kind of rankings on there for that, because that was an impressive performance. You mentioned Tony Richardson.
Yeah.
It seems like every time the shot goes up, he has 3 guys on him, and he's coming down with the ball a majority of the time.
There was I want to say it was the Clarion game. It was the first possession. He saves the ball down on the baseline in front of their bench, and he's sliding up into that curtain. And that kind of shows you kind of how he's played here the last 3 or 4 games, that you can block him out, but sometimes it doesn't matter. And he gets his hands on balls. He's keeping balls alive. And the thing he's doing offensively that we've been working on him is he just slowed down. When he catches the ball now, like I said, watch the Slippery Rock game, and he was still in a hurry. What happened was we were getting ready to play Mercyhurst, and we knew they were going to double team the post, so we worked on how to handle a double team. And that made him slow down, because you have to see the double team, see where the help is coming from, and then make a decision. It's like ever since we went and worked on that, he's kind of become more efficient. So, but he's been a guy. A lot of our progress here the last 2 weeks is because he's made a giant leap in terms of his production.
Yeah, and you mentioned about the game slowing down. You took the words out of my mouth, because a lot of times in the past, a lot of players, get the ball in the low post, it's going up, but you see now he's pump faking, and if he doesn't have a shot, he's kicking it out and resetting the offense, and then that's got to just help, because it becomes a very good possession, get a better percentage shot.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the 2 best shots in the game, it's an uncontested layup and an inside-out 3. I mean, those are the 2 best shots in the game, and now with Tony one-on-one in the post, like I told him, I'm okay. If they don't double you and you want to go score it, go score it. I mean, he's shooting 57% from the floor, so it's a good percentage for a post guy. And he's just done a really good job of looking and saying, are you going to double me or not? If you don't, I'm going to score it. If you do, he knows our rotations outside of it, and he just sees which one's open. So it goes back to our first conversation. Guys are becoming more comfortable in what we're trying to do, because when in December, 5 guys were trying to figure out at 100 miles an hour. Now we're trying to go 75 miles an hour and make everything count.
And it's been a great effort to watch for your team. Like I said, 3-game winning streak. We'll take a look at the standings as they are at the end of the first go-around of the PSAC. See, top 6 make it. IUP's already clinched, but we see that California rising up and gonna make things interesting in the second go-around.
Yeah, right there we're tied with Seton Hill, but we have the head-to-head with them. So, yeah, I mean, 3 weeks ago, and I'll leave this lady nameless, but she'll know who she is when she watches it. We were on an away trip, and she said, I don't know if you guys can make the playoffs. And we didn't say anything. Coach Cole and I didn't say anything. And at that point, we were 0-8 in the conference. And to get back to where now we control our own destiny in terms of the playoffs is a good thing, because one thing about these guys here, that none of these players have ever played in the playoffs. I went back and asked Matt Kiefer. He said nobody here's on the roster's played in them. And I think we're playing as good as anybody. You look at those. You look at Gannon up there. We took them to overtime, kind of escaped there. And Pitt Johnstown, they smacked us. But we're playing just as good as anybody. So, again, I'm trying to keep our guys away from thinking about the scenarios that need to happen. We just need to go worry about playing Slippery Rock at Slippery Rock tomorrow. And if we play the way that we're playing, all of that stuff will handle itself, and we'll be playing in March.
And you mentioned the Slippery Rock game. Like I said, it only seems like it was about a week and a half ago. But,
yeah.
I mean, it has almost been a month. But like I said, that was pretty much the start of where you guys got out to a pretty good lead. And then Slippery Rock chipped into it and then got behind. And then you guys never quit and then got up and won. Like I said, it was such a great thing to watch, because I believe that was the first West Division win in almost a year for the team. So the guys that were here last year, it had felt good for them to finally get the monkey off their back. And that's kind of turned the page a little bit.
Yeah, I think it was the first win in almost a year, and I think it was the first time Cal beat Slippery Rock in like 6 years or 5 years or something. It had been a little while. So it was more, like you said, about getting the monkey off our back and just letting us relax and know, hey, we can win a close game. And I went back and watched the film, obviously, leading up to this game, and I was talking to Coach Caldwell, and he said, well, how do we win? I said, I really don't know. I didn't think our offense was very good. Now, a lot of that, Slippery Rock's, Kevin Reynolds' defense is always really, really, they're going to defend and they're going to rebound. I don't care what gym they're in. I don't care what hemisphere they're in. They're going to defend and they're going to rebound. And I thought, from an offensive standpoint, we were not very good. We took quick shots. We took bad shots. We tried to play faster than their defense allows us to play. But we defended really well. We defended and we kept them to one shot. So that's kind of, like I said, basketball, no matter what level you're at, if you take more shots than your opponents, you'll have a better chance to win the game. And in that game, we took more shots than they did, so because we kind of kept them from getting second chances. But that kind of started the run. But even we didn't play as well then as I think we're playing right now. So we can't backtrack. We can't backslide come tomorrow night.
Now, how much? It's only been, like I said, about 2.5 weeks since your team saw Slippery Rock. How much can either your team adjust or their team adjust in the second go-around?
Well, there's not going to be major adjustments because Kevin Reynolds does what he does. I mean, his team, he has an establishment, he has a foundation of how they play and how they're going to guard you and how they're going to rebound, that they're not going to go, and we're not going to go reinvent the wheel. Now, you might pick up some little things here where you can steal a possession. Our whole thing through scouting is we want to steal 10 points. So if we can say, here's maybe somewhere we saw a crack that we can get an open shot or kind of have a special play to get an open shot. Other than that, we have to play to our strengths. They have to play to their strengths. And that's what happens, because when you get to February 1, which is what it's going to be tomorrow, people aren't going to change their style of play. You spent 4 months doing it a certain way and stressing certain things to your guys. And Kevin Reynolds is too good of a coach to go changing that method. He hasn't changed it in the years he's been there.
And Coach, you took the words out of my mouth. February 1st, that's Wednesday night, so Slippery Rock's only about an hour and 55-minute drive if you push the speed limit a little bit. I don't think the snow is going to affect it. I mean, I'm not a meteorologist, but whatever it takes to get some red and black in the stands, it is their whiteout night tomorrow. They're expecting a big crowd, so it'd be nice to see some pockets of red and black denying a total whiteout at Slippery Rock. But here's the upcoming schedule. Slippery Rock Wednesday night, 7:30, and then an off weekend this weekend. So whoever made the schedule an off weekend, Super Bowl weekend, they get
bonus points.
Yeah, amen to that. And then next Wednesday on the 8th, Gannon, Seton Hill, and Pitt Johnstown again. So, hopefully, and then 2 of those games are at home, 2 are on the road.
Yeah, it doesn't get any easier. I mean, you look at, we're really get through tomorrow and play well tomorrow, and really with every PSAC team, every team's probably been back since December 27th. It's February the 1st. Nobody really started school, at least the state schools did. It's been a grind. I mean, our guys are grinded out. Because as soon as you turn around, you're scouting another team, you're on the road. This week off will be good to kind of recharge our batteries, because I think just as important this time of year of practice and preparation and all those things is you got to rest. You got to make sure guys have enough juice in their legs to have the stretch run. So the week off will be good probably for a lot of teams, and us included. But we're going to be ready to play tomorrow, and then we'll worry about, I don't even who's after that, Gannon. We'll worry about Gannon. I know we have a score to settle there because we kind of let one slip away, and they're playing really well right now. I mean, sitting second in the league, kind of by a substantial margin. And Coach Riley, like I said, when we played him, I reached out to him after, and man, his team just plays so hard. Kevin Reynolds do too, man. They play so hard that you can't take possessions off. So if you want to win, you better be ready to grind it out with those 2 guys, because they're going to make you grind it.
That's the thing with the PSAC. You can't take possessions off. You can't take days off, because it's a grind. I mean, any team can beat anybody any day of the week.
And there's no finesse teams. You have the thing, finesse teams, guys these teams are going to throw it down the paint to you. They're going to screen you physical. They're going to cut physical. They're going to guard you physical. So it's going to take some body-on-body contact that you got to just be ready to. Now it's February, like we've talked to our guys. This is where you separate. So, and I think we're playing well enough to make some noise, but you got to be ready to withstand the physicality you're going to see about the next month and a half.
And once again, we're in February. Come on up tomorrow night to Slippery Rock at 7:30, just up I-79. If you can't make the trip, CUTV will have you covered. Go to calvulcans.com and click the Watch Live link. If you'd rather listen to it on the radio, you can listen to it on 91.9 FM WCAO, or listen to it. Matt Keifer and his staff will have all the relevant links up on the page. And Coach, we have about a minute left of the show. We'll switch gears. We did mention it's Super Bowl weekend. Atlanta, New England, put you on the spot. Who are you taking?
I don't know if you can bet against Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. My heart tells me I would just like to see Matt Ryan win one. I think he's a great pro. I think he epitomizes what kids want to grow up to be and how they want to act. And my heart wants him to win it, but I'm not picking against probably the greatest quarterback ever, and Bill Belichick. So I'd say the Patriots.
Yeah, that's been a lively conversation around the lunch table. Who's the best of all time? And we'll throw your name in the hat in the check mark next to Brady. But Coach, thanks for coming up, and look forward to a lot of shows with you and an exciting second half of the season.
Absolutely, it's always great to talk about our program and the positive things going on. So anytime you let me know.
And that's the Kent McBride Show. You're watching it here on CUTV. We'll see you next week.